As discussed in your background reading, Beowulf is a pagan poem that has been written down in its final form as it comes to us by a Christian monk, or maybe glossed by a Christian monk might be a better way of saying it. But it creates unique positions in the poem where we see Christianity intrude in places that wasn't likely ever before. And those are often, I mean, sometimes very clearly he states, he's talking about a Christian God. Other times we see interesting places where there's ambiguity, and whoever the final poet was, the monk who transcribed this, whatever the situation was exactly, we see interesting places where there is that ambiguity, where we're not quite sure, and or where the monk can have it both ways. And this is an example right here where we get, and he crossed over into the Lord's keeping, is how Haney translates it. In the Old English, though, we get the word Frean instead of Lord. And Frean could mean a Christian lord. I mean, we see that in other Anglo-Saxon texts where it does refer to a lord as Frean, or the Lord as Frean. But it was also a name commonly used for the pagan god Freyr, which was a god associated with fertility and kingship. And so here we have this interesting place where a Christian audience is happy to look at that and say, oh, that's that's the Old Testament Lord, whereas a pagan audience could clearly look at it and say, oh yes, that's Freyr. He's related to kingship, and that's appropriate here. So keep a lookout for other places like this in the poem.